All right, it is Rosie and Murray here from a Half Decent Studio. We're coming to you with some half-formed thoughts. Murray, last week you were at, why do I sound like a reporter all of a sudden? Last week, last week I know
To go with it.
that you and a bunch of our friends were at South Start, um, and something I heard from you and others was that it was pretty exhausting being at a big event, like amazing to be at the family reunion, but kind of exhausting to be at a big event, especially after the year we had in 2020. For those of you watching decades into the future, that was the year of COVID, because this is going to last that long.
Totally. Agree.
So what was it like, and then what was it like recovering from that? Let me know.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, South Start is a big emerging technology event down in South Australia in Adelaide. Very much in the same vein as Myriad, as Pause Fest, as the events that I used to work on and run. It was awesome. It was really, really invigorating. I've come back with all this new energy. Hey, I'm a hardcore extrovert. Of course I did. I got to hang out and hug and high five and, connect with all these, other extroverts and introverts and ambiverts and all the shades in between. But yeah, it was even for someone like myself who is naturally energized by experiences like that. There was a real sense of nervousness. There was a sense of anxiety, I think, not just for myself, but particularly for those who prefer to keep to themselves and stay indoors and not travel, which I've thought about so much since. But even in the lead up to it, I couldn't help but think we've barely had any effect of, in the global scale of things, we've barely been touched by COVID here in Australia. That's just the virus, but we've had even less, I think, effect from the global sense of lockdowns and isolation that's come from that. We've been so fortunate. I cannot imagine how complex and how long the effects will be felt in other countries where people have been, single parents have been locked up with 3 or 4 kids in a tiny apartment in Spain, or, whatever it is, going back to some sort of, semblance of normalcy. It just blows my mind. I never get nervous about presenting. I never get nervous about traveling, but I was really nervous. And collectively, a lot of us were able to kind of work through that together, but it still took time. And I think I'm amazed to think at just how long the tail of that effect will be for other countries.
Yeah, so some contrasting examples from my own life. So a lesser one was when lockdown ended. I went to a dance class. I used to do dance in Brisbane City. And we had forgotten how to just be around each other, like physically and socially. I remember the teacher saying, "How are we going, guys?" And then this like really long pause and being like, "We're not on Zoom, you can actually answer me." And then the other contrasting moment I had recently, so I was at the Auckland Writers Festival, and I was in the book signing line, and I got to snap a photo of the person who was doing signings, her husband and her son, and it was a really beautiful shot, and I sent it to her team. And the team member who came back was like, "Thank you so much." And I recognized the name. I'm 99% sure this team member has been in isolation for 14 months in a 1-bedroom apartment. And, because she's in the States, and I can't imagine. I really can't imagine, having a semi-normal working life and then also being in isolation that long. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how it pans out. But that collision of energies at South Start would have been something. The words that you and some mutual friends
I
of
think
ours have.
what was
Oh,
it
sorry.
yesterday
You go.
was
Yeah.
someone literally, like, this wasn't, we didn't prepare for this, but someone on Twitter who I'm not connected with, someone who lives in the States, literally asked the question openly, is anyone else, are any other extroverts concerned that their extroversion may not ever come back? Like, she was sounding quite scared, quite sort of really nervous about this sense of, wait, I used to get my energy from other people, and now I'm really nervous about connecting with people. And I don't know how it showed up in my feed, but I responded and said, it does come back, but please be gentle with yourself. Like, it's a real thing to
Yeah.
suddenly, it's, going from being left-handed to right-handed, and then slowly, getting your right hand back, but, or your left hand back, but not really quite knowing which one of your hands to trust, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I like the someone once described introversion and extroversion to me as two different tanks. Some people have, some people only have an other people tank that they refill. Or it's much, much larger than their self tank, right?
Yeah.
And so I just think, like some of us have been forced to like rely on just the the self tank for a long time. And yeah, all that's still available. It'll just be a weird adjustment. And you'll probably like those people will probably get some empathy um for those of us who have I'm sure this is what people with like autism experience regularly. They really do want to connect. They just have no, they lack some understanding and skills in that area. So I think that's what I think that that's what's going to come out of that. Now, um, a term that you and one of our mutual friends have been throwing around is match fit. Not match fit anymore when it comes to these big events. Did you know that was happening, or was that something that was like kind of a surprise to you? It's not just there all the time.
I think the phrase came up a few times for me throughout the week, but it was only in retrospect, like looking back, that is what we'd fallen out of,
Yeah.
was a sense of match fitness. And by that I mean, for non-sporting folks, like, you can be hyper fit, you can be a really great footballer or basketballer, but most people who follow sports can tell very quickly if their favorite player has not played for the last few nights, or even taken 1 or 2 nights off, because the match fitness just isn't there. The awareness of how quickly the ball's going to move, or whatever it is, and anticipation of other people's movements. And that's really how this felt. There
Yeah.
was a real sense of, I have no idea what anyone else is going to do next. I couldn't anticipate
Yeah.
what the general amorphous kind of emergent behavior, like there's that classic sort of image of emergent behavior with, birds sort of flocking and switching directions, that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
That's often how these events, and how a family, how a tribe feels. It's like, hey, we're all going to go out for pizza, or we're all going to go to this thing, or whatever. I don't think any of us expected or knew how to anticipate what anything would feel like, or which way we were going to go. There
I
was this.
mean, it's just grown-ups at kindergarten. That's what it sounds like to
That's
me.
exactly how it felt. It felt
Yeah.
very much like kindy.
And, as you're saying this, I'm thinking about the fact that I think we all picked up we've picked up match fitness in other things. Like, I feel like a lot of us are way more match fit with Zoom, you know, less of us are forgetting to unmute ourselves. Some of us have figured out the like hide self view trick.
Yep.
And we know like we can sort of withstand back to back Zooms in a way that I don't think we could have a year and a half ago.
Even the least visual or technical people have figured out what good lighting, or what bad lighting can do, and why
Yeah.
it's important to get your audio sorted, which is feels like, sadly, they're going to be really valuable skills in the future, but
Yeah.
something that very few would have anticipated, 12 months ago.
Yeah, no, it's really true. And then, we've also learned how to adjust our way through like reception issues and figuring out how to like find corners of the house that are quiet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for this chat, Murray. I can't think of a final thought to end on. But I'm glad we've gotten match fit on this thing we're doing here. So
Me
appreciate it.
too. Having lots of fun. Cheers, Rosie.